Hello students, this is second part of chapter 7 sustainable management of natural resources. Up to now you have read about what is natural resources, about sustainable management, about pollution in the Ganga. Okay, so now we move to the next topic. Already we have seen that what government can do to save our environment. For example, they making the Ganga action plan for cleaning the Ganga. But the question arises here: what you can do to save our environment? Okay, so what can you do? You must have come across the 5 R's to save the environment. Okay, these 5 R's are refuse, reduce, reuse, repurpose, and recycle. So we will see one by one. First is refuse. What do you mean by the refuse? Refuse means refuse to buy products that can harm you and the environment. Say, for example, say no to single use plastic carry bags. You must bring uh, 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 a big carriage with you or a small carriage with you, maybe made up of a cloth or a paper bag. Okay, second is reduce. This means that you use less. You have electricity. By switching off unnecessary lights and fans, you save water by repairing leaky taps. Do not waste food. These things you can reduce. Next, reuse. Use things again and again. For example, envelopes, plastic bottles, you can reuse it. Fourth one, repurpose. This means when a product can no more be used for the original purpose, think carefully and use it for some other useful purpose. For example, cracked crockeries or cups with the broken handles can be used to grow small plants and as feeding vessels for the birds. Okay, and the last one is recycle. Make required things instead of synthesizing or extracting fresh plastic, paper, glass, or metal. So these 5 things you can do to save our environment. These are few examples, but when you look around you, you can think more. Okay, so next is, why do we need to manage our resources? What is the need to manage it? First one, they are limited in quantity. You know that population. You can check the second point. Due to increasing population, their demand has increased, resulting in overuse of resources. While resources are limited and population increasing day by day. Third, these resources take a really long time to form. Thus, depletion will cause problems for the future generation. Okay, you use coal, petroleum, but they are not continuously producing, they are only depleting. And production takes millions of years while we use it in few seconds. So, we have to manage all the resources. Now, forest and the wildlife. Forests. Forests are the biodiversity hotspots. So, biodiversity, bio means life, bio means life. Diversity means variation or variety, variety of life. Hotspot means where these are found in huge amount. So the life, different form of lives. Okay, forest means different form of lives are present in excess amount, because in forest you can see the many type of animals, many type of birds, many type of plants. So forests are actually the biodiversity hotspots. Okay, loss of biodiversity may lead to loss of ecological stability. In a forest, if we cut the trees, many animals will automatically be extinct, so it will lead to loss of ecological stability, because to form an ecology every step is necessary. Plant is feeded by herbivores feeded by carnivores, so this is a long chain. If you break any one of this step, then whole ecosystem will be lost and it will disturb. Hence, there is need for conservation of forests. The people who depend on forest and its products are called stakeholder of the forest. Okay, so all the people, by any mean, when they depend upon the forest and their products, they are known as stakeholder of the forest. There are many stakeholders of the forest. You can see here. First one is local people. They are the tribals, depend on the forest and for their survival. Second one is forest department, government who owns the land and control resources. Third stakeholders are industrialists who use various forest products. For example, they use wood, they use leaves, for example, tendu leaves for making the BDs. Okay, and the wildlife enthusiasts who want to conserve the nature. These are the people who actually know what is the importance of forest and the wildlife, so they always try to save them and provide them natural environment. The wildlife enthusiasts. So these four are the stakeholder of the forest. Now the conservation of the biodiversity. Okay, biodiversity means, bio means life, diversity means variety, different life forms. We have to conserve it. So the definition is conservation of biodiversity is important to maintain ecological stability. For example, people's participation in the management of the forests. Here a few examples are given through which you just think idea about how some people doing their best to conserve the nature. For example, first one, National Award for the Wildlife Conservation in the memory of Amrita Devi Vishnoi. Amrita Devi Vishnoi, who lost her life in protection of khejri trees in the Rajasthan along with 363 other people. Okay, in past time, Amrita Devi Vishnoi along with some people of her village, they lost her life. They lost her life to save the khejri trees. Khejri trees are the very holy trees in the Rajasthan, and industrialists want to cut them for its own purpose. Okay, but they do not want to cut them. This is the first example of how people can love the plants and the environment. We always we think about money, but this is very bad, because actual thing is not money. Money is need, but plants and environment are our life. Okay, next is Chipko Andolan, very famous Andolan, very famous movement, which is originated in Garhwal district in early 1970s. That was the result of a grassroots level effort to end the alienation of people from their forest. Okay, so you have to remember a few things. Chipko Andolan, it is belong to Garhwal district, and it occurs in 1970s. Okay, in Chipko Andolan, many people, they hug the trees, and they lost their life along with trees, but never want, but during their life they do not want to cut the trees. Okay, so this is one of the best example of conservation of nature. When you go through your NCERT, you will see the depth of the idea, depth of their mind, how they love the trees, how they love the nature, because we are the person in this current era and from the cities do not know the actual importance of the trees, because we are not very much stick to the nature, we are very far from them. Okay, the next is protection of Sal forest in West Bengal in 1972. Okay, all these 3 points you have to remember, all the things. First one is National Award for the Wildlife. It is named as Amrita Devi Bishnoi National Award. It is given to the persons who perform in the conservation of nature. And second one is Chipko Andolan, belong to Garhwal district and occurs in 1970s. And third one is Sal forest protection in the West Bengal in 1972. Now, one of the natural resource, water. We will read about this. Water. Water is basic necessity for all the terrestrial forms of life. Terrestrial means land, soil. We present on soil as a human and other animals also, but few are aquatic. But it is very much necessary for the terrestrial forms of life also. Okay. Water also required for irrigation purpose. Irrigation means planting, watering the plant and watering the agricultural lands. Water is required. In India, there are various methods of irrigation, like rainwater is available for the irrigation purpose, dams are there, tanks, canals, etc. are various methods. Okay, advantages of the dam. We will talk about dams. You know about the dams little bit here. In what occurs in the dams, a river, when the river is flowing, during the formation of dams, a wall is used to close the path of river. They just hold the water and supply into many branches, and then utilize this water in many purposes. You can see that in advantages of dams, it ensures the adequate water for the irrigation purpose. Okay, from that branchings of the river which were checked by these dams, this water is used to supply to the villages where many agriculture fields are present. They use it in irrigation, and for that water they generate electricity also, and continuous supply of water in their regions for various household purposes. But what are the disadvantages of the dams? No equitable distribution of water, first one. And there are 3 important problems arises due to large dams. First one is social problem. Large number of people displaced without compensation. Dams are very large. They acquired the area where the local peoples were living. So government plan displaced them, but do not provide them actual compensation. So the large number of people displaced from their native place and without any compensation. Second is economic problem, involve huge amount of public money in the form of tax without giving proper benefits. Third one is environmental problem, causes deforestation, loss of biodiversity, biological diversity. How? As I have told that it is the river which is flowing by its own path, but during the dam formation its path is checked or stopped, and then its water is utilized in various purposes. So if you block the actual path of the river, it will not continue flow. Then the forest which were coming in their path, they will not supplied with the water, resulting deforestation. And if deforestation is taking place, then automatically the life which were dependent on them also lost. Okay, for example, Tehri Dam on the river Ganga, one of the example of the dam. Another is Sardar Sarovar Dam on the river Narmada. Okay, so you have to remember these two names, Tehri Dam on river Ganga and Sardar Sarovar Dam on river Narmada. Now we will talking about water harvesting. The collection of rainwater and its utilization for the various purposes is called water harvesting. The advantages of storing the water in the ground: it does not evaporate. If we store the rainwater under the ground by making tanks, first advantage is it will not evaporate. Second one, it spreads out to recharge wells automatically. If any wells in that area, due to storage, it will recharge the wells. Third one, it provide moisture for the vegetation over wide area. Okay, vegetation will also be good if we store the water under the ground. Next one is it does not provide breeding grounds for the mosquitoes. If we making ponds are open groundwater, but because water is not flowing there, it is stagnant water. Due to the stagnant water, mosquitoes use that water to produce their eggs and breeding. But when the water is under the ground, this problem will not there. Okay, next is it is protected from contamination by human and animal waste also, because it is under the ground and the upper surface is covered, so it will not be contaminated also. These are the advantages of storing the water in the ground. You have to remember some of the methods of water harvesting. The names are khadins, tanks, nadis. These all the names. You must listen carefully, and the states where these water harvesting methods are present: khadin, tanks, nadis in Rajasthan. Second one is bhandaras and tals in the Maharashtra. Third one, bundhis in Madhya Pradesh and Uttar Pradesh. Pines and ahars in Bihar. Kuls in Himachal Pradesh. Ponds in Jammu region. Eris, or it is also known as tank, in Tamil Nadu. Bawdis in Delhi and nearby region. Okay, so water harvesting method is not new. We the today generation called it as water harvesting method, but it is very old process. In the ancient time, it is called by different names in different regions of the India. Okay, so you must learn all the names. Okay, I will repeat again. In Rajasthan, the ancient methods of water harvesting named it as khadins, tanks, nadis. In Maharashtra, bandharas and tals. In Madhya Pradesh and Uttar Pradesh, bundis. In Bihar, pines and ahars. In Himachal Pradesh, kuls, it, the name. In Jammu Kashmir region, it is ponds. In Tamil Nadu, it is called as Eris, and in Delhi and nearby region, it is named Baulis. Coal and petroleum. Coal and petroleum both are non-renewable natural resources. You know about the renewable and non-renewable natural resources. Renewable, which can reproduce itself in measurable time, but the coal and petroleum are the resources which cannot renew itself in the measurable time. It took many years to form. For example, coal. This was formed from the remains of the trees buried deep inside the earth some 500 million years ago. And petroleum is formed by the bacterial decomposition of the dead marine plants and animals buried at the bottom of the seas. This decomposition takes place under high pressure, high temperature, and the formation of petroleum take millions of years of time. Means coal and petroleum both takes millions of years of the time, but coal is the remains of the trees which buried deeply inside the earth, while the petroleum, it is formed by those dead marine, those plants and animals which the origin of them is marine, means they were the aquatic plant and aquatic animals, and they buried at the bottom of the seas. Their decomposition occurs by the bacteria, and it occurs at high pressure and high temperature, so it will convert it into petroleum. Okay, therefore coal and petroleum are called fossil fuels. Very soon the coal and petroleum will be exhausted. At the present rate of usage, petroleum will last us for about 40 years, and the coal resources will last for another 200 years. Okay. What are the harmful effects of the using fossil fuels? First, combustion of coal and hydrocarbon releases large amount of carbon monoxide. Carbon monoxide is the gas which is produced by the less decomposition or incomplete burning of the fossil fuels. Another gases which are produced by the combustion of coal and other hydrocarbons are carbon dioxide, sulfur dioxide, oxides of nitrogen, etc. So carbon monoxide, carbon dioxide, sulfur dioxides and oxides of nitrogen, etc. These causes air pollution and cause various diseases like the respiratory diseases and the throat problems, congestion, etc. Second harmful effect of the fossil fuel is excessive emission of the greenhouse gases like the CO2 causes rise in the temperature. It will lead to the global warming. Okay. So these are the few points you have listened carefully. Now you think about the methods to save our environment by looking around yourself and the things which you use in your daily life, because we have read all the points which were present in your book, but you know that in practical life you can think more beyond your book. Okay, so think and attempt all the questions. Also read your NCERT book and attempt the questions which were given there. We will meet in the next video. Thank you very much.